Hello everybody, Gigi Yoga here, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my yoga teacher training. Who did I train with? Sampoorna, and I'd been wanting to train with them for a while. I've been wanting to be a yoga teacher for a while, but I work on cruise ships, not currently, we're not talking about it. I usually work on cruise ships, and in terms of my breaks, I either always wanted to see my family, see my friends, or my break was just too short to commit to doing like a full 3-week course. But then lockdown happened and I got very much ad targeted on my social media. Sampoorna Yoga had started offering a online 200-hour yoga teacher training. So of course I was hooked in, and I made a couple of inquiries about it. I'd seen a couple of people that I follow on Instagram had taken it on as well, so I asked them how it was going, and in the end I decided to take the plunge. How much does it cost? So I think with anything like a yoga teacher training or any kind of teacher training, anything where you're going to come out with a real qualification which is useful, like in the real world, you should see it as an investment rather than a cost. And my investment into this course cost about €800, which is an absolute bargain for yoga teacher training. Of course, with it being online, it was always going to be a little bit cheaper, but it was a huge amount cheaper than it would have been in person. It was well over €2,000 to do it in India, and that wouldn't have included the flights or anything. And already, I've only been qualified for about 2 weeks, and I'm already starting to make that back in the money that I'm making, just because I'm being quite proactive in terms of getting teaching work and stuff. So woohoo! So how does the course work? What is the content? What is the schedule? So let's start with the content. Soon after you pay the money, a couple of days later, they send you loads of important documents, such as the recommended schedule for studying, the schedule for the live sessions. They send you the study manual as a PDF. I will note that you can keep it as a PDF if you want, but I'm old-fashioned and I sent it to print, so I used a company called Print My PDF, and they cost about £25, but it was worth it for me because I prefer to highlight stuff and write notes in the margins and all of that sort of thing. They sent almost like a welcome letter, just sort of laying out how everything works. So already before the course started, I felt very confident in my choice because they were very organised with all of that, which was a really nice feeling. In terms of the course content, so it comes in two forms. You've got the manual, which as I mentioned I printed, and you have the online platform. So you work your way through the online platform. If you finish watching a video, you click onto the next session, it unlocks the next bit, unlocks the next bit, unlocks the next bit. And sometimes there are things in the online platform that are in the study guide and sometimes there aren't, and vice versa. So it's beneficial to watch and read everything, just in case. You never know what you're going to miss. And it's with the live sessions as well. For example, with anatomy, a lot of the same ground was covered that you saw in the online platform and in the study guide, but Ellie, the anatomy teacher, went in much deeper with it and with explaining it, and it was very much an open forum for questions. So for me, you know, anatomy doesn't come super easily, so I had lots of questions and I wanted to know how everything worked, and she relates it directly back to yoga and asana and linking anatomy with that, which made it so much easier to retain. I really appreciated the way that she taught that side of things. So if you're scared of like the sciencey bit of it, don't be. The teachers that they have, in particular Ellie, are absolutely wonderful. I was going to swear, but I can't swear. Are really, really good at teaching it in such an accessible and useful way. There are many topics, but the main ones are anatomy, yoga philosophy, meditation, pranayama, so breath work, and of course the physical practice. So there's two physical practices. There was Ashtanga and Vinyasa flow. Vinyasa flow is the one that you get graded on at the end, but we learn Ashtanga because it's the easiest way for them to teach alignments and adjustments in a structured way. But of course, like we are now, if you pass the course, you are qualified to then also teach Ashtanga if that's what you want. Personally, for me, I didn't fall in love with Ashtanga, and that's just a personal preference. I enjoyed it on quite a few different levels, but it felt is a much more structured form of yoga, and what I like about Vinyasa Flow is that it can be whatever you want it to be within reason. So 2 different styles of yoga. I believe that Vinyasa did actually come from Ashtanga, so everything's linked basically. And you really do get such a broad understanding across all of the subjects. It's very comprehensive, it's very dense, but because there is the combination of the guide, the online platform, and the live sessions, which is basically all of the live sessions, they do a bit of teaching, but mostly they're wanting to answer any questions you may have had from the studying that you've done. And I love that because it meant that when I was studying, there was something that I was like, I don't get that. Rather than go and Google, I would just write the question down and then get the answer straight from the source, somebody who really cares about the student and wants to answer the question correctly. And I thought that was just wonderful. The schedule. So the schedule, they give you a recommended schedule, a certain amount of anatomy per week, certain amount of this per week, certain amount of this per week, and it's manageable. Like, it's a manageable amount. Of course, you may feel differently if you're a mother or a father or somebody who actually has a job. Unlike me. I found it super useful. Within the recommended study schedule, there was also extra exercises you could do, particularly with teaching techniques, which would help prepare you to be ready for your final practical assessment. So create a 15-minute standing sequence, create a 15-minute seated sequence, create a theme sequence, so that you were ready to teach by the time you left the course. And for sure, I definitely felt ready to do my final assessment by the time I did it. So, how is it graded? The good part. So, there is a written exam, which is a 30-question multiple choice exam, no time limit on it. You have to get 93% to pass it. If you don't pass it, you have the opportunity to retake it. So it's really no stress. That bit's no stress at all. The final practical assessment is a 20 to 30 minute video of you teaching a Vinyasa flow, which, as I said, by the time you get to that point, you're definitely ready for it. You've learned all the teaching techniques you need. You know sort of the structure, the recommended structure for a Vinyasa class, all of that good stuff. You've learned how to cue, different ways of cueing, and they're not expecting perfection because they know that you're just starting out. So they're just looking to see if we've taken on anything that we've learned, and there's no reason why you wouldn't have. Of course, with it being online, they understand that this is very strange times and they will accept a variety of videos. So I know that they were happy to accept a Zoom recording for people who didn't have anybody to teach. If they literally lived with nobody else and they couldn't get anybody for a Zoom class, to literally teach to the camera as if the camera was a student, which I think is so cool that they do that. I was one of the lucky ones. I'm locked down with my dad. My dad actually quite enjoys yoga, so I was able to have him as a student. He's really sweet. With the written exam, you know straight away whether you've passed or not, and with the practical exam, it can take anywhere up to a week, but I found out within 2 days because I submitted it pretty soon. And you get a mark out of 35 for the practical assessment and loads of feedback and stuff to help you grow within your teaching. And if you pass both sides of that, then you just wait for your yoga teacher certification to come through, and mine came through yesterday, about a week after I passed both of the exams. A couple of questions that always come up. So number one, is this Yoga Alliance certified certificate? Yes. It is just as if you were doing a certificate in person. You will be a Yoga Alliance certified so you don't need to worry about that. Are you able to put RYT 200 next to your name? No, two different things. So the training is certified by the Yoga Alliance. They've approved it. Sampoorna's jumped through all the hoops they need to jump through to get that permission. But you can only put registered yoga teacher, RYT, next to your title if you actually then go and register yourself with the Yoga Alliance. Which, you know, they insure you, they protect you. It's definitely something that Sampoorna recommends, but it's not necessary. Like, regardless, you're still a qualified yoga teacher, and they're more interested in you getting insurance. Any kind of insurance. I think that's it. If you have any more questions, pop them in the comments. But as I said, I had a really positive experience. Really enjoyed it. If you're expecting this to be the same as the experience would be in person in Goa, don't. It's not. You're not in Goa. I'm in Lancashire, in my house. I've been locked down in my house in Lancashire. It's not the same as studying it in India. As long as you go into it knowing that, then fine. And you can always go back to the Sampoorna facility at a later date to either get your 300-hour teaching or just to go to a yoga retreat. It's not like it's a never thing. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful to those of you who are interested in becoming yoga teachers and have been stopped from doing so by this pandemic. There's no stopping us. Bye, guys.